What's up, everyone? Thank you, Colleen. Oh, beautiful. Thanks, Colleen. It is fixed. So for those of you that are here, Mark from Builder is going to be going first, and he'll be building the Zoom clone in like less than 15 minutes, and then he'll talk more about Builder, and then second will be Huddle. So. Everyone that's coming in, make sure to take the poll. We'll be starting shortly. So whenever Mark from Builder comes up, you'll be able to ask questions as well during the Q&A, and you'll be able to answer them. So just give people a couple more minutes, and we'll be good to go. But yeah, thanks everyone for taking time out of their day to come out and see what's going on in the no-code space with Builder and Huddle. Ooh, great question. CB, R. Williams, Column, what's going on, buddy? Alexi, Josh, Mark, Sammy, Mario, Sarah, beautiful. Lots of people coming in. Manish. All right, I'm going to invite. So thanks again for everyone. I wanted to give a huge shout out to our sponsors, Mark and Builder and Huddle, and Mark and Na from Huddle, and then Michael and the Entra team. So yeah, so just a huge shout out to them. This wouldn't be possible without all of them. And for those of you who aren't familiar, Builder is a design and development platform that provides entrepreneurs and teams with a new way to create SaaS products. Builder was built using Builder, and it's the first visual programming tool created with no code for no coders. And Huddle is a product management tool inspired by the way you work. You can create or you can accelerate projects, manage requests, and delete users. It's designed to build and iterate without code, and Huddle is being built with Bubble. So you can kind of see the best of both worlds. So Builder is a tool that you can use to build things, and then Huddle is being built with no code tools. But yeah, so thanks again everyone for coming out. If you don't know, I'm the host of No Code No Problem, and it's a no code podcast. So I'm really active in the space, and yeah, if you want to take a listen, it's nocodepodcast.co. So I'm going to invite Mark up here now. I just sent him the invite.
Hey.
Ha ha ha.
Can you hear me okay?
How's it going, Mark?
Going good.
Awesome.
There we go.
All righty.
All me now.
We'll let you be the center of attention.
That works.
Yeah. How's it going?
Good. Super busy. This is my 7th meeting of the day. So I'm like at the end. Also,
Jeez.
You might hear my dogs barking. They're in the backyard right there. So typical quarantine.
We love dogs. We love
work,
dogs.
Right? Where you got all of it going on.
Yeah, no, seriously. Knobs in. Awesome. Yeah. So Mark, if you want to tell people, a little bit about Builder and what you guys are doing, and then we can get into the demo. So
cool.
Everyone, let's give Mark our undivided attention.
Yeah, I'll keep it pretty brief on the background, but we've been at it quite a while. We first built what would become the first version of Builder in 2006. It was nothing like what it is today. It was basically a CRM tool that would allow you to custom build fields and add fields and columns and things to it, and add calendar tabs and stuff like that. And instead of just having it as a custom CRM, what we did is we went out and sold that to businesses as something that we would customize for them. And they kept asking for more and more features, so we just kept adding to the things that the platform could do. And over the years, we just kept doing like bigger and bigger and bigger features, bigger projects. And then in 2015, we landed a huge project where we were doing, it was like a multi-million-dollar project where we used what was the previous version of our tools to build that whole project without any code. That was in 2015. And about a year and a half, 2 years into that project, we decided that it was time to take our tools and turn them into a product. And so we spent the last 3.5 years from scratch building our tools into a product that we now call Builder. And we're finally about ready to get this thing launched out into the world. We've got some early users in there getting tons of good feedback, and we're letting in more users every week. We're primarily focusing around SaaS applications for the most part. But you can really build anything with Builder, anything for the web. So websites, web apps, marketplaces, anything you want. What I'm going to demo today is basically, it'll just be a real simple video calling app. And what's kind of funny is when I went to check and make sure that all my settings would work for the Crowdcast today, Crowdcast is actually using the same video backend that this thing that I'm going to build uses. So we built these action types into Builder using a service called daily.co. It's pretty awesome. It's an API that allows you to just generate video calls like this, and you can set all the settings like this where you have chats. You can do owner-only broadcasts like what Ryan has here. So he's the owner of the broadcast, and nobody else has control over it but him. And you can customize everything on the UI too, so it's pretty cool. So what I'm going to do is build just a really simple version of an app because I'm only going to take about 10 minutes to do it. So we can't go into like tons of detail and style it all perfect and everything, but we'll get it looking pretty good. So yeah, that's about it. I think I'll just dive in if that's all right, Ryan. Is that cool? All right, let's show the screen. Make sure that you guys can see the screen. All right, Ryan, can you see the screen okay? You guys there? Is it working, Ryan? Can you see it? Yeah? Okay, cool. Looks like Michael said, yeah, he can see it. All right, so this is like a totally blank project in Builder. So Builder is an infinite canvas. So first thing I'm going to do is drop a blank page onto the canvas. We're going to call this our home page. And what we're going to do here is put like a light box that has the ability to put a call name in and a button to create the call. So I'm just going to drop this on. And then let's put a heading on here so it looks good. We'll put, create a call, create a new call. I'm going to put a little bit of padding on here. So in Builder, we do take advantage of full CSS. So if you know CSS, you can actually just like dive into CSS and edit it directly. It has full cascading built in. If you don't know CSS, we give you different views like use properties and all properties where you can like see the things in a traditional like design tool sense. But if you do know CSS, you can get really proficient in Builder very, very fast. So let's put an input on here. Got to spell it right. There we go. I'm going to drop an input that's already got some nice styling on it. And we'll put the label on there. We'll call it call name. And then I will put, let's name this call name as well. And let's just put a button on here. We'll drop this button. Oops. All right, so now we've got this button and I'll label it, create and, let's do it. Create an open call. So what we're going to do is make it to where when you click this button, it's actually going to open a new tab, or actually we'll make it take over the tab. But that tab is going to have in the URL /call and then / a unique ID. So that way you can like share that video URL to anyone you want. So we need to make another page for when that call opens. So I'm going to put another page over here. We'll just call that the call page. Put that here. And let's put a container at the top that we'll use as a header. So I'll take this container here, just drop it on. I'm also going to apply some padding here. And Ryan, let me know if I'm having any connectivity issues or anything. I want to make the this header, instead of using like an icon, I'm going to actually use a Lottie animation. So I'll just drop one in here. A little bit big. So let's put, let's make that a little smaller here. And let's go over to Lottie files and grab a video camera Lottie animation. So this one looks good. So I'm just going to copy the link to that and come back over here, go to the properties of the Lottie and just paste it. There's all kinds of settings for Lottie too. You can do all kinds of nice stuff in there. So now we've got that on here. I'm going to put a little bit more styling on this. Let's make it do what's called flex, and we're going to do some space between. We're going to put two buttons on here. We're going to put a join call button and a leave call button. So when you first open it, I don't necessarily want it to automatically join the call. We'll make them have to click a button that says join call here. And then I will duplicate that button and we'll change this one to leave call. And then let's also put a call name on here. We'll do a heading. And I'm just going to drop another heading into there. Do call name. That. Okay, so now the call name needs to come from like a record in the database. So when we create the call, I'm going to create a call in daily.co. Then I'm going to create a record in our own database so we store the information about it and then open this page using that record. So I'm going to set up data for this. We'll go from field, and we don't have a data collection set up, so let's make one. So we'll do, call it calls, and let's add a field, and we need a couple of fields. We need the call name. I'm going to store the name of the call. We also need the call URL. So this is like the URL from the API daily.co to get that. And then we're going to do the daily room ID. So we get a unique ID for that. And that's what we're going to use after the slash. So you have this like super unique thing. And then I'll tell it to bind this to the call name. All right, and we need one more container on here. We need a container to open the call into. So what I'm going to do is put a container down here. And there's a bunch of different ways to change the height of this. I'm going to actually use inline styling here, which is not something that you would typically do here, but I wanted to show that you can do it. So you have main style classes, appending classes that override the main, and then you have inline styling too. And you can do any type of CSS that you want. So you can just kind of come in here and override it to however you'd like. So I'm going to actually use a thing called calc, which does like minus 120 pixels. You can actually like calculate a height into it. So let's do like something like that. And then let's also put a background color on it so that when you come in, it kind of looks like that's going to be my call area. Now we're going to put some actions on these buttons. So the join call, we'll go to actions. I'm going to create a new action group. So action groups allow you to create one or more actions inside of an action group, and then you trigger the action group based on actions that the user takes or events that the user does. So there's actually an action in here called join video call. You pick the container that you want to put it in. Now we should have named this container so that we can know which one to pick. So call it container call. Back in the join call, pick container call. And then the video URL, we actually want to get it out of the data, right? So we want to get it out of the calls, and we want to get the call URL. So that way it knows which call to open into that container. And then on the leave call, we're going to do another new action group, call it leave call. And again, we have an action for that. Put that in. You don't have to fill anything out here because it's just going to leave whatever call is in there. All right, so now we've got our call page set up. There's one more thing we need to do, and we'll do it in a few minutes. But first, I just want to kind of preview what this is going to look like. So there's this button called Live View. First time you click it in a project, it's going to need to ask you, what is your root page? Like, what's the home page? In this case, we're going to use home. So I can set and open that live view, and it'll open it up here. This is not a preview. This is a fully functioning like live view. It's a real production ready application instantly. And you can actually share the link out with anybody you want, and they'll have access to test that for you or whatever you want to do. Now this one, we're going to do a special setup in a moment for. So let's go create an open call, and on action, on click of that, we want to add an action for create an open call. So this is an action group. And in here, we're going to do three things. We're going to create the call over in daily.co's API, so that way we get the video backend. And then we're going to create a record that uses that information to store it locally, so we've got that information to reuse. And then we're going to open this call page. So first thing, let's do create a call, which we have an action for. It's pretty straightforward. You fill it out. Now, with APIs, you need to have API keys. And API keys are what we call secrets, because you don't want the front end of your application to have access to that, because someone could just take that API key and use it. So we'll do daily API key. I'll name it that. And then I've already got one, wrong one. Let's go over here and get it. Copy it. That's why I kept that open, just in case I accidentally copy and pasted something else. So I'm going to put it in all environments, the same key, but you can actually have different API keys per environment, dev, test, and production. And that's so you can test things out and change them over time. So first thing I select in my create call is the API key. Second thing is the room name. Now I want to get the room name from this field over here that we called call name. So I'm going to get the room name from an element value on the current page called input call name. So that's going to pull the call name, pull the room name from there. It's going to set into variables on the local page the room URL that it generates and the room ID that it generates. There's a whole bunch of options here that I don't have time to go through because of the like 10 minutes I'm trying to do this in, but you can do all kinds of things. Do you want to allow screen sharing, start with video off? Do you want to enable recording? All kinds of fun stuff in there. So the second thing we're going to do is create a record. We'll go here, create a record. Now, one thing to note, I'm going to put a wait between these because I want it to create the call, and then I'm going to create a record in our own database to store the information from the call that was generated. So we want to create a call record. And what we're going to do is map the fields that we had created. So I'm going to map 3 fields. The first one, did we create fields? Yes. Oh, demo or die. Do I have a bug here? Let's see. Let's go to our data collection. I did create those. Call name, call URL. And I literally did this right before the meeting. I literally took 10 minutes and set this whole thing up. All right, here's what I'm going to do. We're going to go to the one that I just did a few minutes ago. It's already built. Same exact setup. Except for I need to set the styling on this. Here, 100 VH there. Oh, wrong one. I forgot to put the height on this one. Let's do it. Let's see. If you remember on the other one, we had the calc here. Height of 100% minus 130 pixels. So let's redo that. All right. So over here, I'll go into the action, create and open the call. So we already have the actions set up here. So basically, you map the field call name to the input and the call URL to those variable values that the call API generates. So this thing is running an API, getting the data, bringing it back, and then that generates the call record. And then we're storing that record in our local database. And then the last step is to open that page. We're going to open the call page into the current tab, into the /call URL root. So the next thing I would do is go into the roots and create a second one. If you remember when we had to pick the home page, that created this / route, whereas we want the /call one to go to the call page. Okay, so now if I live view this, I can just put in a call name. So, my call, whatever it is, click create call, and it goes out, does the generation. Notice that it's got it here. And I didn't put this in here. My bad, guys. Let me get the styling proper on here. Main outer. This is why. There we go. One thing to note there, by the way, I went over into the studio and I made a change, and I didn't have to refresh over here, and it just made the change local in the live view. So it's really nice if you have instead of opening it in another tab, I usually have it in another screen. So that way I'm actually seeing the changes in real time. So I'll click join call here, and that joins the call. And it's literally, this is the same thing that we're using. Hopefully it doesn't cause crazy echoes or anything. You can just copy this link and send it to someone else, and they can join this call as well. Happy to test that out with somebody if you guys want to. I did this a couple weeks ago with Drew Thomas and a couple others, and then I went and used it in all of my meetings that day. So it's pretty cool. The nice thing about it is you can create these live calls, these live rooms, and if you set your permissions up right, then you can share those with users. So you can allow a user to set up a call, share that with certain people, and then they've got a room set up, and you basically have the ability to build your UI around that call. All right, so
Michael from Entra says send it to him.
What's that? Here.
Michael from Entra says send it to him.
Do it. Let's see. Where are we on the call, though? Here. How about this? Let's just test it out. You're going to have to mute, though, okay? Because if you don't mute, it's going to everybody's going to go crazy. And I did not tell it to default mute, which I could have. So when you come in, mute it. Let's see. What's really funny about that too is that this will be a live link for quite a while. I'll go delete it later, but I'll leave it live for a little bit. Did anybody click that link yet? There we go. Somebody's coming in.
Hello, can you hear me?
Mute. I heard somebody, but I don't know if it was from there or from over there. Somebody's in and muted right now. I don't know who it is.
I clicked on it. It just took me to a white page.
You
Oh,
clicked
there we
on
go.
the
It just loaded now. Yeah,
I'm
we're
seeing
good now. We're good.
People are coming into the call, but I don't know who it is. The other thing too is you're running 2 daily.co calls at the same time. Like I have no idea what that does in the back end. You know what I mean? Like for daily, like we're running one here and running another one here. I got no idea. But yeah, so in Builder, the thing about Builder is that you can literally build anything you want. This is like one of a million examples of it. And as Ryan said, we literally built the entire tool with itself. So what you're seeing here is like pages that we build with Builder. And I really mean that literally. Like if I go over here, this is Builder like inside of itself. So if I go to like the studio, or actually let's go to like the data page where we were. As we went through these pages, like these are the pages that we were on over there when we were setting up the data and adding the fields and all that. That is these pages here, the collection pages and the fields and the data and all that stuff. So that's probably the thing that we like to talk about the most in terms of like, what can you build? We like to point out the fact that we built Builder with Builder because it kind of shows that there's really no limit to it. It's just up to your imagination, whatever you want to build. So that's probably it. I don't want to, I mean, I can go for like 3 hours in this stuff because we can go a long way through it. But yeah, what are the questions?
Yeah. So anybody that has any questions, if you click ask a question, you'll be able to type in questions. While we're waiting for, Michael has a question for you.
Sure.
It says, so how do we get access?
Yeah. So right now, the way that we're giving access is based on a couple things. What we really need is projects built to production in Builder, right? You don't do projects in Builder in 10 minutes, really. Most of the time, I want to see people who have ideas for products that they want to build, businesses that they want to start, things that they are committed to taking to production, because we're committed with you. That's kind of our whole idea is to build products to production with the tool, right? So if you've got something that you know you want to build and you've got the time to put into it right now, not only will we give you early access, but we'll actually support you in building it and help you get it there, because that's really what we need to start. So part of that is building out an early community as well. So when you get in, you become part of that early community on Slack, and we're also building out all of our community pages. So reach out to me on Twitter directly, just DM me. And let me know what you've got to build. The way I've been doing it is I'll get in a meeting with each person, go over what they're doing, what their proficiencies are, all of that stuff. Because the main thing is I want to make sure that each person that we let in right now can be successful right now. And as we add more tutorials and more documentation, the number of people who can be successful without our help will grow, and then we'll just end up opening it up. Thanks, Michael. So what other questions? There's a ton we can go through, but we probably don't have time. Ryan, you still there? Am I still there? So I think Ryan might be frozen or I'm frozen. Can you guys still hear me? Okay, Ryan's frozen. Okay, cool. Then I'll just keep going. Since there's no host, I get to be the host. Sweet. All right, so backend and servers. Okay, so Builder is built on top of Azure. It's completely scalable globally. Obviously, we'll get better at that over time, but it's already an incredibly robust underlying platform. So we spent 15 years building projects for other people using previous versions of Builder. So Builder is like version 6 of these tools, and the same core team built all 6 versions of the tool. So we have a really deep amount of knowledge in how to build things, how to scale those things, and how to keep those things in production for years and years. I mean, we have some customers who've literally been in production for 12 years inside of our tools. Now those clients we always built for, like we built the projects for them. So Builder is our take on turning our tools into a product, right? So you guys get the benefit of all that in terms of the back end, the servers, the scalability, the global access, all that stuff. Hey, Ryan. We coming back in, Ryan? Thanks, Nav. No worries. I guess I'm running the show. All right. So I don't remember who. I don't remember. It's Mark. Oh, it's funny. I was gonna say I don't remember the name of the person because I've never met him, but I'm pretty sure it's Mark, which is my name. So that's good. No worries, Ryan. I'll keep everyone entertained. Chat some questions. Or actually, do you remember that episode of The Office where Michael has to keep everyone entertained for Dwight's speech? I can just tell some terrible jokes right now. Make everyone really uncomfortable. No, that was a joke. Michael, come on. Ask a question. Give me a question. Throw something at me. Anything. Doesn't even have to be builder related. Just ask some questions. It'd be good. Cool. Yeah. I'll answer both of those. All right. So open source, we are not doing any open sourcing anytime soon. I think eventually our entire front end will be open sourced because it will help us grow. And you definitely can take your CSS, your HTML, the front end JavaScript, all that stuff is accessible to you anytime. So you can take the whole front end right now, basically, but we're not doing any licensing agreements around the core technology being open sourced yet. We most likely will do some open source of that front end at some point, just not yet. Regarding pricing, I think everyone's going to really like our pricing model. We aren't 100% settled on this, so you might not get it exactly like this, but it's going to be close to this. So up to 3 projects for no charge. You get full live view on those projects, meaning you can build whatever you want. There's no limitations to what you can build. It's totally free. If you want more than 3 projects, or if you want to publish, right? You click publish in the top right of the studio, you publish to test, publish to production. As soon as you go to publish something, you start paying. And the pricing on that would be $18 per month or $14 per month if you pay yearly. And it's not per project, it's overall. So per project execution pricing is just going to be whatever it's going to be. We just charge you for the actual runtime execution of those projects, obviously with a markup on top. So our goal is to get it to where you can build whatever you want with no limits on what you can build. Let's see, versioning and database layer. Okay, so versioning is fun. Builder has a full revision and lifecycle management built into it. Like I said before, we have to do this for clients in production. So you can't have things like where you're building something and have that affect production. I mean, some of our systems have, 8,000 or 10,000 users who are constantly in it. These are like back office systems, like retail systems and stuff. They're all web apps. And so you can't just like break something. What's up, Gil? You missed the demo. Gil already saw the demo. I gave it to him like a week ago. I tested it out on like a bunch of people.
Some other questions we got too. We have a bunch of questions. Can your platform support end-to-end encryption for each project?
Yeah, so HTTPS is built in by default, and we don't actually let you turn it off on any subdomains that you publish to. If you put a custom domain in, then it's up to you to get a SSL certificate and set that up. In terms of data encryption, all passwords and user information are automatically encrypted. They're hashed and stored encrypted. We can't even get to them if we wanted to. Like I can go look in the database, but I can't see what the passwords are. We will be adding encryption at rest for all data collections at some point in the future as an option, but we haven't implemented that yet.
And then another question was by David, this one.
Uh-oh, Ryan, we might be losing you again.
On Builder yet.
Can you repeat it, Ryan? It was cutting out. Uh-oh. Might be losing him.
Oh, God. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, there you go. That's better.
Can you hear? Okay. How does your tool compare to Bubble? I'm not a big fan of Bubble, but was not able to get my hands on Builder.
Sure. Yeah, I get that question a ton. I don't want to do like a side-by-side comparison, mainly because I have no idea, because I've never actually used Bubble. So what I hear from users is that in terms of the design side, because we're totally open-ended on the design side, you can make it be whatever you want, right? So there's no like buttons in Builder to center things or to like auto. There's nothing like in Figma where we're like trying to auto figure out how you want to design it or set it up. So that does add a barrier, because you have to know how to style things and how to design things. So what we're doing to work on that is to give you the ability to see it, to start from, rather than starting from scratch, we're building a whole set of what we call patterns. And those patterns are all kinds of things like an e-commerce pattern, or a pattern for a marketplace, or a pattern for a user sign-up flow. There's a bunch of them that we've got in the works right now that we're building out. So thank you, Michael. In terms of the action side of Builder, I think one key difference, I got asked this question in an AMA yesterday as well, of like, how do you fit into all the no-code stuff? How does Builder fit in? And I think the key differentiator for Builder is that we don't really see one piece of this thing as the thing. Like, we're not a design tool. We're not a database tool. We're not an authentication tool. We're not a flow tool. Uh-oh. My video turned off. Can you still hear me? My video shut off and came back. Cool. I don't know. So we look at it holistically, right? We see it as, you really can't build whatever you want unless you can do all of it. And so, and that comes just from actually having to do all of it for clients for a lot of years. And when you've got a client who's paying you literally millions of dollars to build something for them, and you're doing it with a platform like this, just because I'm doing it with a platform doesn't mean I have the luxury of saying no to my client who says they want something when they're like paying my rent, right? And so Builder is completely extensible for that reason. And it's extensible in such a way that it doesn't require like complicated SDKs or anything like that. You can just dive into the JavaScript if you know it, or you can hire a JavaScript developer and let them dive in. Or you can, what I'm hoping for is that the community, people like Michael Gill and people like Drew Thomas, who can go and do those things. They're coders. They know how to do it. They can go write new action types and new element types for us who are not coders. I'm not a coder, but I can take the output of what they do and understand the input arguments and output arguments. So totally extensible. Let's see, microservices supported. Can I build an API services on top of the platform? So we will be launching that in about 3 months. Full dynamic API services, and not just like, manually generate a token, but like actions where you can have your end users generating tokens for their end clients, right? So in a true SaaS fashion. And that's API for data. There is another layer that is just about wrapped up right now. We're implementing it for Stripe Connect for our first implementation of it, which is serverless Node.js functions. So when you add a function into Builder, you can also do a serverless function. And we actually spin up a serverless environment specifically for your project so that there's no conflicts with anybody else's functions. And you can just share those serverless functions back and forth across projects too. So those kind of things, the heavy hitting backend stuff, we have a tremendous amount of experience implementing that. And again, we're really fortunate because we get to come from this like we've had to build these massive systems using this tool. And we've kind of hit every wall and limit and figured out a way around it before we even set out to build this as a product. So we took all that learning and just put it right into the tool. I think there was one up there that I didn't really talk about, which is the versioning in the database layer. So the versioning, you publish from a deployment slot to another deployment slot. So like from development to test, from test to production. And you can add as many deployment slots as you'd like. So like one of our clients that we build for, they have 7 different deployment slots because they have like 2 different types of systems built into one project. And they have a pre-production environment for some subset of users. So it's totally flexible, whatever you want. And the database layer is built into that schema. I'm actually building the UI for it right now. R. Williams, which system? My system or the like builder system or the Crowdcast? Which system?
He might be referring to he might have got kicked out of Crowdcast as well.
Probably. Cool. So yeah, so there's always ways to improve on everything. And I think that's one of the things about building Builder with Builder is like me and my team, the minute we hit publish, we're like, oh man, I wish I had done that better. Like every time. It never ends. There's always room for more. There's always room for improvement. There's always a better way to do something. And you learn from every release. So that we take that iteration mentality incredibly real. Like it's a real thing for us. So we're excited to finally get out the door, get a bunch of users in, and learn from you all is what we're doing right now. We're learning from the early users and understanding what we need to do different because we have been in a cave for a while building this thing. We know what is needed to be built, but we're not going to catch every edge case. It's you guys who will catch those. So the early users that we're letting in understand that and are helping us do that. As soon as we get through all that, we're just going to open the thing up and let everybody in. So I don't want to take up too much time. I know we got another demo, you know?
Yeah. So we could probably do one more question if anybody has another question, and then we'll move to huddle. Any other questions? No. Well, if not, or if you have questions, you can. I'll be sending out an email tomorrow to everyone, and you may get the chance to talk to Mark tomorrow one-on-one at the networking event that we'll be hosting with Entra. So yeah. So thanks, Mark, for coming on and showing us the power of Builder, and yeah, see you tomorrow.
Thanks, everybody. And I'm going to hang for the huddle too.
Perfect. All righty. So now we are on to huddle. So let's get Mark out here. All right. I just sent one invite. And I'll send the other one right now. I just sent the invite to you guys. Oh, we got. Hey, Mark, how's it going?
Good. How you doing?
Good.
Thanks for putting this.
Oh, yeah, Nav's connecting right now.
What's up, guys?
I'm just gonna turn off my mic and my camera. So,
Cool. Thanks, Ryan. Mark, that was awesome. Congratulations, and looking forward to trying out Builder. Nav, you can kind of kick us off if you'd like. I'm going to open up our demo here.
Cool. Hey guys, yeah, thanks for joining us, and thanks Ryan for putting this together. And thanks for being one of the public advocates for the no-code movement. It's just such an exciting space, and Mark and I have been. We feel really proud to be part of the community. We really do believe no-code is going to be one of those required skill sets, pretty much for all businesses going forward. And it's just really neat to see, a demo like Builder and just kind of the power of that and some of the other tools that are out there. That being said, we want to give you a little background on Huddle and why we built it. Mark and I are idea guys, like probably everybody in this room, and we had thoughts of how we're going to create tech products, or how we're going to build stuff or bring our ideas to life. Mark and I are not necessarily we're not programmers. We didn't go to school in computer science. Mark has a slightly more technical background than I do, and he's a Salesforce guy. I have no technical background. I come from the world of private equity. So we built Huddle as a way for us to organize our work. Not having a product development background, we had searched for tools that could do that we could organize our work, and they were a little too bloated, for lack of a better word. So we stripped out things, from Agile and Scrum, and left kind of what's useful in building a product. And we've actually used Huddle to build Huddle. So as soon as we got it to a point where we could do that, and it's all built without code. We use Bubble. And we hope that in doing that, we've left makers with some really good core product development best practices, while still giving you enough flexibility to be, at your creative best. Mark, you want to add something to that?
Yeah. So our tool is something to replace where you're managing your work, your projects, task management. So it's not a visual development platform like Build or anything by any means, but it's something like Jira for developers, or Trello. And so we put some things in that help you when you're going along your product journey with tying feedback into what you're building, and like really focusing on what users are wanting or expecting as you're building, rather than just your ideas. So it's a feedback-driven product development cycle that we kind of like to preach, and put this into a system so that we can use it, and hopefully others find it useful as well. I think what Nab said, we chose Bubble to build it in, mainly because it was the most robust tool that we can find for what it is that we wanted to do at that time. So there was a learning curve from us. So I'd say we've been building for about 6 or 7 months, but probably now, if I were to rebuild it again with what I've learned in Bubble, it's probably like a 5-month build for what we've done. And Nav and I do this full time. We are in beta right now, and so we have users that have built products before without code, and we're getting feedback from them. And we really just put in the core kind of workflows and structure for now, and the reason we're in beta is just to open up more ideas from you guys to say, hey, we like this feature, so on and so forth. So we're going to keep it in beta for probably a couple more months, mainly just so we can get past like the core functionality stuff that we wanted to put in, and then open it up for public use. So that's kind of all I have.
Is Ryan still there? I think we might have lost him.
No,
yeah, just real. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So if there's no questions, we can kind of jump into the demo, and we can get into questions right after.
Yeah, I think that'd be good.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Cool. All right, let me open this thing up. So. Cool. You can see my screen now?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So this is kind of the middle of the software. This is what we use to record information for what it is that we're building, right? So we call these stories. It's in a list view, and we have the traditional backlog to do, in progress, done, and canceled. So the stories really don't live anywhere. They just, you pull them in different views, and that's mainly so that we can link and find things all over the place, so that you don't have to go to a specific list to look at a story or to look at some feedback on it. Traditional project management stuff here, we can toggle for priority. In that, you can, you can set the state here. So backlog to do, in progress, done, and canceled. This shows that we have some feedback. We also have tasks in here as well. So you can toggle your tasks and see and mark them off as well. Hide and show done. And then obviously we have labels to identify what it is to us, right? Bug, delight should be like a feature, and request. So that's kind of the typical project management stuff. When you're in a story or hovering over a story, we're pulling data all the time, really. So wherever you're hovered, and you could kind of dig in a little bit further with this quick action sidebar. And this is where we can have like external links, like a Notion document or a Figma link, something like that. We have themes, which is a really powerful way of connecting stories together. So if I'm in this story and I click on this theme, I can see what it's linked to, the stories that it's linked to, and then go into those stories if I need to. So what we do there is, and it's also run with keyboard shortcuts. So if I were to /, I can pull up the different themes that are in my database for this particular project and connect it to, say, notifications, right? So when I connect it, I'll add to that view. I can now see that notifications is connected. So you get to see your feedback as well. So while you're building or working on something, you can kind of roll through the feedback that's come in. We'll show you how the feedback gets in here in a second. Then we have a view where you could kind of dig into that particular story. So there's rich text editor sitting in here. You could still work on your tasks or create more tasks in this. So it's just a pop-up from there, and set priority, status, label. And again, get to your feedback. So we can, typically what we do is we create a story that has a title, and then this is your description. So we create descriptions so that it's kind of like the end result of when I ship this feature, this is what the user is going to experience. So we like to write it in that way so that we can kind of look up to the description as we're building and say, like, what was really the goal of this as we're working through it. And then what we're doing is when we launch, when we finish the story, mark it as done, and we launch a changelog post to notify our user base that, like, here's what we built. We're going to pull in some of that description and title for the stories that were included in that post. So we launch every single week on Thursdays, and we'll write up a changelog post, tie our stories to it, and show what it is that we built, bug fixes, anything like that. I'm gonna go back. Missing anything, Nav? Or you think that's pretty good?
No, I think that's good, and I think just want to highlight the this practice of themes, because I think that's just one of the really powerful things within Huddle is that you have the ability to cross-reference all these different stories. So especially in the no-code space, there's so many different tools out there that you might be touching certain tools sporadically. So as you plan what you're going to build, you may touch a tool for a couple of days, and then you might put it away for a month. And having this kind of relationship-driven database, you're able to go back and look at what you might have done in the past with a particular tool. That's going to help you save some time, help you build what you're currently working on a little bit faster. So I just wanted to put that out there, and we'll go through the loop and show you how all this kind of fits in together.
Sure. So thanks. So if I were to take this roadmap view and say, hey, this is something I'm going to work on, it's kind of how we groom our backlog. We take the stories that we're going to work through this coming week. We move them into to do, which again, you can do keyboard shortcuts and you just type what you want to do. So if I want to move this to do, I can do that, hit enter, and then You go toggle into to-dos, and there it is. So we also have a different view of these lists where you can cut out kind of some of the noise like done, canceled, and backlog, called active view. And that's just, we use that on a weekly basis, like this is what we're working on this week, and move things around from there, move them in progress. So when we finish a story, yeah, that would be a good one. Finish a story. Like I said before, we can post a change log. So we're giving users the ability to create change log posts, have a public link so that they can host kind of like a mini blog. And so when you write a change log post, you can tag them for what they are. And I just have this one in here. We're launching a change log this week, or we're launching a public change log. And when you can keep them as drafts as you're like creating or finishing stories, you can, and they won't be public. But once you publish it, I'll hit save here. It goes to this, which I think I'm going to have to share a different window.
Yeah, and while Mark does that, I kind of want to, one of our theses is that we really want to build based on feedback. So whether it's some new feature that we have kind of thought of ourselves, or it's driven by people coming to us and submitting feedback, say through our changelog, we really want to prioritize based on that feedback, because we're firm believers that the more you communicate with your user base, the better your product is going to be, and the better chance you have of getting that product market fit. And we'll show you how we're doing that here.
So here's the public change log. So it would be like your product name, a link to your product, and we have this feedback button here. So what we can do is have the users send feedback back into your system, right? We ask this question: how disappointed would you feel if you could no longer use whatever product it is you're building? And that's tying a little bit to the superhuman product market fit engine. We think it's a good way of seeing what if your customers care or not. So we have users send feedback in there, and what happens from that is it goes to what we call the Insights tab. So that is just all the feedback coming in. In this view here. So what we do with it is we see that there's open feedback, there's 24 open, and we would look for some stories to tie them to, right? So these might be roadmap. And then I can mark it as done and move on to the next one. This one could be custom labels. So you'll notice I don't have a story for that. So I can Control C, create this new story, custom labels pulls in, create the story. It's then linked to it. You can also remove that link when you need to, mark it as done. And so you triage your feedback here. The goal is really to put as much feedback that comes in. So another one just came in from Nav to those stories, right? So if we have, 10 different feedbacks that are on custom labels, we know that that's something that we should probably prioritize, right? So that's where we triage the feedback. When you go back into your stories, that's how you were seeing these different numbers associated with the messages, right? The feedback. So from there, I would, again, maybe open up that story, see what is in it, and prioritize it and say, oh, this seemed like it was, something we should do right away, urgent. And then that's kind of how the cycle goes through. When we're back in that Insights tab, a lot of times we do demo calls with makers, and it's not necessarily that they're sending feedback in, but we're doing some user research, or we're getting, over the phone feedback. So you can create feedback here as well. And find some contacts. So like Mark's in there. He sent this in. So I'd add that feedback. And then again, do the same thing, right? Attach it to those stories. The goal really is just to get everything linked up, triage it, and then focus on what you should be focused on, what your users need. So you'll see along here, you have like, this is where we get that very disappointed, somewhat disappointed, or not at all. The goal really, and we're going to put some more like analytic stuff here. The goal is to work on features that are important to the very disappointed or the somewhat disappointed, so that you can convert them into better customers, or the very disappointed, just continue to keep them happy. So instead of focusing on the ones that are just going to churn or leave your product anyways, you want to really get in the features that are people that are focused on that like the product, right? That are focused, that are very disappointed or somewhat. So there's some product market fit stuff from Superhuman that we're going to pull into this to give you guys better analytics as you're working on your product. Now, is that, I missed anything? I think you're muted.
Yeah.
Nav's muted. But I think that's it. It's really just a loop of getting feedback and working on your projects. Where we go from here is, like I said, we just want to get some core functionality in. We are working on things to create a better database for people to search on things that they're building, right? So and we're integrating with different tools. I could talk a little bit about that if you guys have questions about it. But what we want to do is build out a database where people share stories, things that they've done, for example, like an onboarding process with Airtable, Typeform, Zapier, and share that story. You can search it and maybe repurpose it for your project. Where we've found a ton of help is in the forums for Bubble when we were building on Bubble. So community is really important when you pick a tool to build something pretty robust on, because there's a ton of nuance to what it is that you're building. And there's usually people that have run into those situations before. So you just go a lot faster when you have a database of information to pull from. So we hope to get these stories where they're more shareable for other people to use. And we see that a lot in the no-code space where people are sharing tutorials, so on and so forth. And we want to build that out so that as you're looking for like a sign-in for Bubble, you can search a public database of stories and pull in some information, somebody that already did it. So that's somewhere we're going for little access to knowledge. And then we also are building out a way to share changelogs publicly to like one site as well. So we want to build something where it's like no code makers are shipping products, and we can show those updates to those products in one place and give feedback. And so we want to extend the platform a bit, but the goal for this first half of the year was just to really get the functionality right for how it is that people work. And somebody asked a question before, I think, about their different views. Like, we're also going to be able to share like a roadmap view for your customers so that they could see things that you're working on, kind of upvote them or give feedback to them before you even build, so that you can build the things that they're looking for along the way. So we get that question a lot, like, can we share out the roadmap? So you currently can't, but that's something that we're putting in here pretty soon. Nav, do I have you back or no?
Yes, I'm back.
Cool. Anything we missed?
No, I think you got it. Alicia asked a question. Is the tool for people just starting out, or is it for companies that are further down the project lifecycle? And really, it's for both. It's for anyone that wants to have some structure around their build. It combines some things like user feedback, and we're going to, as Mark said, there's going to be some analytics around that. We just have to figure out like we can slice and dice the data in so many different ways that we're trying to figure out what's going to be most valuable. But It's really for anyone that needs that structure, wants to combine user-driven feedback, communicate with the users. Makers, you're oftentimes working individually or in a small group, wearing a lot of different hats. So we think it's really important that you are able to save time wherever you can. One of the things that kind of came up, my little side story, my dad is a aerospace engineer, and I asked him about how he starts a project and what he finds to be most valuable. And he said planning. He said that's what separates good engineers from great engineers, is that he might spend an extra few days on planning, but it's going to save him weeks on the back end. And I think that's where a tool like this becomes pretty valuable, and that you have a place to organize yourself as well as create your own work. And when you're able to have this body of work over time where you can reference it, I think it becomes exponentially more powerful. And as a no-code maker, you really do end up with this like body of work that you can always reference, and it makes you just have those superpowers that we all want in this space. So a long-winded answer, but that's kind of geek out over this stuff.
So we had another question. Did you use no code? Yeah, we said, and I responded as well. We used Bubble to build it. We're pretty happy with it. There's a lot that you can do with Bubble. So there's not that, like, as far as limitations, you can create plugins for things that aren't working how you want natively. And we haven't done much of that. We use a few different plugins, like our rich text editors is a plugin. But we haven't done anything too crazy with code on top of the platform, but you can. So we're pretty comfortable with Bubble. We'll see how the database scales or the speed scales as we add more and more users, but we've been able to kind of control that pretty well. Any other questions?
While we're waiting for more questions to roll in, I have a question, and I think it'll be really beneficial. It's not necessarily about Huddle, but it's kind of about you two. So for those of you who don't know, Mark is in Ohio and Nav is in California. Like, how did you guys meet and decide that you guys wanted to build something together? I think that's important for people like that want to make things and are looking for people to help them.
Sure. Yeah, so we met through a mutual friend, and like Nav said, he was in the private equity space, and we both were looking. We love tech products. We're kind of like early adopters to different tech products. We love tech, not technical enough. So our initial thought was, and I come from the Salesforce world, so my business was building apps on top of the Salesforce platform. So I had a remote team of developers, and we would go to companies that already had Salesforce and build like their own business apps on top of the platform. And so when Nav and I met, we were talking about how we can ship our ideas, right? And so initially it was like, let's spin up development teams remotely and offer that service and build out some of the ideas that we're looking to do. And during that time, we did some of that work for some companies, and then we started to find some tools that were in the no. That's how we found the no-code space. Found some tools where we're like, we can build some cool stuff without even writing code, and that began our kind of search into how do we organize this information, and how do we know what tool to use, and for a particular project. And we just couldn't find the right tool to organize, but also to find information that we otherwise don't have. Like I said before about searching for stories that somebody else has done. So there's a ton of tutorials and these things spread out all over the place. We wanted to kind of consolidate it. So this is our early effort into getting there. We're building a tool that we wanted, and that we were looking for, and it just didn't exist.
Great answer. Any other questions, guys?
So I'll just leave it with, like I said, we're in beta. We're inviting, we have a pretty healthy list of people waiting. So the way that you do that is just go to huddle.so, sign up. We send out a questionnaire. If it seems like you're a good fit, we'll bring you into the beta program. It's not that long of a wait, but it runs us like a couple weeks to get to ones that like sign up today. And that's just so that we can bring the right people into beta. And we'll open that up more in the coming months, but sign up if you're interested in checking it out. And then we'll try to get you guys in the beta. If you do sign up and you came from the no code quarantine, just send us a note on Twitter that's where you saw us, and we'll try to get you there quick.
Awesome. Yeah. For anyone that is looking for links or anything, I just put the link in, but tomorrow I'll be sending out an email to all the attendees and my entire email list, just like with the follow-up thing, and it'll have all the links to the correct sites and everything. So you can look forward to that.
Ryan, are you on a
yeah?
Are you on a dial-up connection?
I'm on. Let me correct you. I'm on a college internet budget connection. Basically dial-up. And the thing is, I live in the city too, so I mean, you'd think that it wouldn't be completely terrible, but here we are. So.
And just one more thing, guys. So we're doing this. We're kind of testing out this like once a month happy hour with various makers. We're limiting spots to 10 at a time to make the conversation valuable. It's going to be rotating topics. Ryan's attending, and so just kind of putting that out there. Our first one's here on Cinco de Mayo, and we'll be putting something else out. But if you go to our Twitter, it's pinned up there. Take a look and let us know you want in on the next one. Would love to talk to you guys. Absolutely, Mark. We'll chat offline.
Perfect.
Cool.
Yes. All right. Yeah. Thank you guys for coming on.
No, thanks for everyone listening, and we'll see people tomorrow, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, just a quick note. Everyone that's still on, I'll have this posted on YouTube. So if you want to rewatch it, I'll have the links on Twitter, and I'll send out an email for that as well. So perfect. Alrighty. Thank you again, everyone, for attending No Code Quarantine, and thank you to Huddle and Builder. And I have one last person that's going to hop on and just say a few words. Michael from Entra. He had a phone call, so he hopped off, but I believe he's on again. Hey, there he is. Yes. So he's going to talk just briefly about what's going on at Entra and then our networking event tomorrow. So it's going to be like one-on-one networking. It'll be really cool, and it's randomized. Entra, Michael, you going to accept the invite? There we go.
What's up?
What's up?
Thanks for putting this on, man. This is great. I was actually just talking with Mark too. He killed it. The guys at Huddle, it was really cool stuff. I think all this, it's obviously a super interesting space. We want to do everything, at Entra to help support all the no coders out there. And, we're a social network for entrepreneurs as a whole, but, obviously with everything going on, in the no code space, there's huge opportunities for us to collaborate with a lot of the developers and designers and people in the industry. So we definitely want to be supportive of everyone. I'm going to drop the link to the networking event tomorrow in here, and you guys can sign up for it. Like Ryan said, we're doing it on this unique platform. where you actually automatically get matched up with attendees and can do basically a FaceTime with them. So it's a little bit different than like a standard like Zoom networking thing or whatever with everyone up there on the screen at the same time. It's going to be a unique experience. You'll be able to have one-on-one conversations with other attendees and other people in the no-code space so that you can really network during these crazy times and actually meet some new people. So looking forward to that. I'm not sure if we lost Ryan again or if he's going to pop back on here, but I don't see him. And if anyone has any questions, if anyone wants to check out what we're doing with everything, go to joinentre.com. We're basically invite only to our app right now. Like I said, social network for entrepreneurs. You can easily find co-founders, developers, investors, mentors. And we're really just kind of building out this community. And we do a bunch of events. Obviously, we've done some stuff with Ryan and some of the people in the no-code space like Bubble and Builder, Adalo before and whatnot. But really, excited to be here for the event tomorrow. It's going to be really cool. So we're excited for that and for you guys to get some networking. So I think that's pretty much all I wanted to go through. I think Ryan might be coming back on. There he is. What's up? You're frozen. I don't know if people can see Ryan or not, but hopefully everyone can still hear me. I know Ryan's at he's at Duquesne, so okay. Thanks, Mark. Appreciate it. I'm not sure if Ryan wanted to share anything else, but the event tomorrow is designed to just help everyone kind of connect and meet each other, and we're excited for it. Sign up. It's gonna be free, and just click that link. And I think that's pretty much it. If anyone has any questions for me about what we're doing or wants to sign up for other events and whatnot, shoot me an email. Happy to chat with anyone too. You back, Ryan?
Perfect. I'm back.
All right, great. We're good.
Yeah. My internet's next. Yeah. No. That was pretty much it. I look forward to talking to a lot of you tomorrow. At the one-on-one event. I know I attended one that Michael had, and the networking was really cool. So, and I met some people that I still talk to. So, definitely recommend showing up to that. And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys.
Sweet. Thanks, Ryan.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Colin. I appreciate it. Thanks everyone for hopping on and taking time out of your busy schedules for this. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. Thank you guys. And like I said, this will be on YouTube, so I'll post links on Twitter. Bye guys.